I've been friends with, let's just call her A for about 11 years. 3 years ago she was involved in a car accident which left her wheelchair bound. I'm 16 now and I've been her best friend since I was 5. Her crash was a rough time for me personally as well, of course not as rough as hers, since my friend was in a car crash and I just lost my dog. But I put her in front of losing my dog, even though 13-year-old me was wrecked, and tried my best to be her rock while she was in tough times. After she got better, we hung out and was the same as before. Just that as time went on, I felt like the power balance wasn't equal anymore. I was always taking care of her and everything had to go her way. To an extent, I was okay with this since I couldn't fathom going through what she was going through, so I kept my mouth shut and was there for her. Every phone call, every text, every "can you do this for me?" I did it. But at one point, I found that I held some resentment towards her, and this grew as everyone around me just expected me to take care of her. I couldn't do certain things because it reminded her of when she could walk, and I couldn't hang out with other people cause she felt like she was losing me. I had to get up whenever she wanted to get something, pick up whatever food she ordered, tie her shoelaces, carry her bags around, walk her dog, take her things to class, and so on. Whenever I complained or tried to vent, I was always hit with a, "but imagine what she's going through, poor thing." And so, the resentment grew and grew. This blew up yesterday. Yesterday, we were at the mall picking things out, even though because of my asthma I really didn't want to go out, and she got caught with some unpaid clothes in her bag. She just blamed me, in front of everyone in the store, and only when the security camera showed her putting something in her bag, she admitted to lying. I was furious, and after I called a car for her, told her to stay away from me and find someone else to take care of your lazy back, since I'm not your freaking mom, and left her in the surprisingly well-lit parking lot. Her mother, who was absent through a lot of this time due to God knows what, phoned my mother, saying I broke her daughter's heart and abandoned her in a parking lot, and everyone, except for my dad, is telling me that I crossed a line and put her in danger, and to put myself in her shoes. Everyone is telling me that I'm not a true friend and that I'm selfish. It's kind of getting in my head, and I don't know if I'm as right as I thought I was. Sorry about how long this is, this was about 2.5 years worth of venting, but am I the idiot? Not the idiot, your resentment is understandable, as you basically had your life taken over by this demanding person who rewarded you by trying to have you arrested for things that she stole. She isn't worth your time and doesn't deserve your friendship after what she tried to do to someone who had done so much for her. Never forgive or speak to her again. As for everyone who is now calling you selfish and not a true friend, ignore them. They were more or less using you by expecting you to take care of this person so that other people wouldn't have to. Not the idiot. This has nothing to do with her disability. An accident such as that is heartbreaking, but that does not give her the excuse to be a horrible person. Asking for things to be done because of her limited mobility is fine, but it seems she expects OP to be her caregiver whenever they are together. OP, you are young and should not have to care for your friend as much as you say you do. Putting the blame on you for her stealing is icing on the cake. I wonder if her parents know she is turning into a bad egg or if they are coddling her due to her disability. Not the idiot. I wonder if everyone is getting the full story here. She lied. She tried to accuse you of stealing. She risked your reputation, your arrest record, your honor. I think this is a perfectly valid reason for ending the friendship. You called her a car, presumably left her on a sidewalk and in her wheelchair in a well-lit and relatively safe area. I guess you could have left her with the security guards or something, but I think it is a perfectly reasonable time for you to end the friendship. Early this year, I, 24, broke up with my ex Chris. We dated for 2 months after being set up by my sister-in-law. We broke up because Chris refused to miss a party to drive me to the hospital after I had an allergic reaction, who put strawberries in oatmeal cookies. I ended up calling 999 and spent the night on an IV. My sister-in-law begged me not to tell my family what Chris did as he is her work bestie, they're both realtors, and didn't want my brother to be mad at him. I agreed because my family would have freaked the hell out. I told my friends who were relieved he was out of my life. We've had nothing to do with each other since breakup. I have been preparing a thesis project and emailed a couple of art historians and professors for some advice. I connected with an art dealer called Derek who had some pieces that I could study. He said he would be in my city for work, so we met up for socially distanced coffee. That was our first date really, as we hit it off amazingly. Our relationship has progressed quickly and seriously. Derek lives 3 hours away and decided that he wants to move here so we can settle together. This is where it gets crap. Derek's wealthy as a result of a successful career and his family. I didn't realize how wealthy he was until all this kicked off. I met with my brother and sister-in-law for lunch, and sister-in-law excitedly told us that Chris has bagged a mysterious client who was looking at pricey houses. It wasn't until she started to mention specifics did I realize she was talking about Derek. I hadn't told Derek about Chris, except that I had a bad relationship before I met him. I did tell him that my sister-in-law worked for a good agency. Derek came into town last weekend very excited that his realtor had found him some properties that we could go together to look at. We were sitting on the couch and he kept talking about his realtor Chris, and I panicked and spilled everything. Derek was horrified and broke his partnership with Chris over email, which horrified me because sister-in-law had gone on about how a sale this big could put them on the map. Derek found another agency and picked a house pretty quickly during the week, and I thought I had gotten away with it until we met for dinner and my parents congratulated Derek on his new home. Sister-in-law asked where it is and obviously recognized the area. She straight up asks Derek if he had been working with her agency. He says he was until he found out what Chris did to me. Cue everyone asking what Chris did to me, and my sister-in-law screaming at me for ruining Chris's career. Then my brother screamed at sister-in-law for being friends with Chris. My family plus most friends are on my side, but sister-in-law plus her friends and Chris think it's petty on my part for ruining the sale when I have my life sorted with a sugar daddy. I feel I'm the idiot because I didn't exactly stop Derek from dropping Chris and shouldn't have mentioned sister-in-law's agency. Derek thinks sister-in-law and Chris are psycho. My brother is in a bad way about this and is staying at my parents' house. Not the idiot. Look at it from Derek's point of view. Would anyone really want to use their partner's ex as a realtor? You really need to trust your realtor. It can go bad in so many ways if they are a shifty person, and no matter how the relationship ended, partner's ex that they broke up with recently is not a person you are inclined to trust. And no way should you lie to your partner about the connection or keep it from them. When you are in a relationship, you tell them things like that. It sounds like your sister-in-law is way too emotionally invested in a crappy person. Not the idiot. Honestly, your sister-in-law should have been on your side from the beginning and been angry with Chris for what he did. If what he did wasn't bad, then people wouldn't react negatively to hearing it. Also, it's your trauma to share with whom you please. Derek and your brother are right to be angry that your sister-in-law is defending very inconsiderate, dangerous behavior. Out of curiosity, did Chris ever properly apologize to you? Like actually, remorsefully apologize and take responsibility for his cruelty? He's just experiencing the consequences of his own actions by losing a potential sale, in my opinion. Not the idiot. Your sister is an idiot. She is putting a friendship with someone over your safety, and your family would have freaked out for good reason. You could have died. Chris should be ashamed of what he did, and I like your new boyfriend. He sounds like a keeper. Your brother is right and I want to scream at her through the computer. Losing the sale sounds like karma. You ruined no career here. He ruined his own with his actions. Edit. The fact that she also thought you should keep secrets from your new boyfriend to protect an ex is also not cool at all. Context. Story happened in early 2020. I, 31, have a brother, 34, we're both no longer speaking to our parents. He has been with his girlfriend for 10 years who has no sibling but is very close to her parents. 4 years ago, they told me they were having a baby. Of course, I was thrilled for them. A few months later, boom, baby boy. For reasons stated earlier, we're a pretty small family. I'm his only aunt. I don't want children. Here's the thing. While she was pregnant, brother and girlfriend kept implying stuff like how awesome it was going to be for them, that I will be there for my nephew, for babysitting, etc. To be honest, at that point, it felt awkward. Not at first, but they were really pushing it. Stuff like, don't worry babe, if we want a dinner date, we'll drop baby at auntie. So I was very clear at the time, yes, I want a relationship with that kid. No, I won't be a third parent. Okay to babysit, not to parent every time they feel like just being a couple in their words. So I did that. I babysit only if I was available and with some notice. Sometimes, they have been very short, like day before, because general practitioner were not available, or something came up. Note that I adore this little boy, he is amazing, and we're doing a lot of stuff together, but still. He is not my child, I don't want to have any, won't change my mind. I also have a very tiring job, with weekend and night shifts, so sometimes, I really want to just be by myself at home. Early February, brother called, asked if I could have G for the day. I said no, that it was my first weekend off in months, has been crazy at work and got promoted to manager, and I wanted it to be mine, relax, see some friends. He insisted. Girlfriend insisted. They both said, G will be so disappointed, but I stood my ground, I was so exhausted, I just wanted a weekend at home, not entertained a 3 years old with too much energy. Then on the Saturday in question, at 8 a.m. someone knocks. Brother, girlfriend, and little G. They were dropping him off because, well, I was going to stay at home, and they really wanted to go out for the day in a different city. I was livid, told them the same things I already said, while trying to stay calm, because G was watching and listening. No, weekend off, not available, happy to see you, but goodbye. They did not want to hear anything. Brother told me that I was being selfish, that they told G he was spending the day with me, and he was so thrilled etc., that I did not have kids, so it was the least I could do etc. Stood my ground, again, told him me not having kids was in part because I knew I was not willing to sacrifice my days to kids, that I was not a third parent or at their disposal. They left, G was upset and crying. Of course, he was, he thinks I don't like him anymore for not wanting to have him, and I'm pissed for that. Friends think I should have agreed, for his sake, but I feel like they weaponized their son to make me cave, and it's infuriating. So, am I the idiot? First of all, not the idiot. I have a feeling, sooner or later, a day will come when they'll just drop the kid on your doorstep and drive away. My husband's sister did this with her 2 kids. Once. He kept them for the day, sure. But throughout that day, they got every single sugary snack they wanted. Fudgesicles, creamsicles, think 3-foot tall kid with a 4-foot pixie sticks all to itself. Washed down with Jolt Cola, twice the sugar, and caffeine as Coke. When he eventually brought them home, they bounced through the door, all through the house, and interrupted mom and dad making love. Not the idiot, not your child, not your responsibility. I am so glad you stood your ground, because I've read here so many times how people bow down when the entitled parents bring the child to them. They need to accept that with the decision to become a parent comes the burden to be a parent 24/7. Not your child, not your burden. You do not need to sacrifice your day off for them to have one. They chose to have a child, now they can have it. Not the idiot. You said it best, you're not the third parent. I wouldn't call you a babysitter because they get paid and are willing to do it. Having kids comes with lifestyle changes. Taking a kid with you when exploring a new city is part of it. Parents like these are why people on child-free subs rant about crotch fruit and breeders. Your brother needs to figure out how to be an actual parent and take care of his kid without relying on the forced volunteer work of his sister. This guy, Jack, and I were together for about a year, and within a couple weeks of ending it, I found out I was pregnant. I texted Jack to tell him, and a couple hours later this woman, Liz, showed up at my place saying she and Jack had been together for 6 months, and she was also pregnant, and when the text arrived she got my address out of Jack's phone, so she could talk to me before him. I told her everything, and Liz dumped Jack. I was about 6 weeks along at this stage, and she was 12 weeks. Liz and I weren't exactly busy mates to begin with, but Jack took a huge step back when he realized how angry at him we both were, so Liz and I ended up doing pregnancy stuff together. When my roommate said that she didn't want to live with a baby, Liz suggested we move in together. Jack objected, but we told him to get lost and moved in together. Over the years we got closer. I've always known I was bi, but when our kids were a year old, Liz realized that she was too, and when the kids were about 5 Liz asked me out. We knew it was a little weird, but nothing about our relationship before this was conventional, so we figured why get hung up on normal now. We've been together for 4 years now, and Liz proposed a few months ago. I said yes. Jack has been an involved parent this whole time, paying us both child support and having custody on alternate weekends. He's met someone new, married a few years ago, and they have a son, Tommy. Tommy looks up to the 9-year-olds, my son, Liz's daughter, and loves them a lot, and they adore their little brother. Tomorrow, Tommy is having a socially distanced birthday party for his 5th birthday. The current guest list is both sets of grandparents, an aunt, uncle, cousin trio, the neighbor's son, then me, Liz, and our kids. They've kept it pretty small for obvious reasons, and there's only going to be 5 kids there total, and Tommy is good friends with the neighbor's kid, but not so much with his cousin. The party is on a day that Jack doesn't have custody, so he's asked us to bring the kids as a favor. He's also asked us to stay and help with the party because I'm a pretty decent baker and cook, and he's asked me to make the cake, which I agreed to, and it looks pretty good if I say so myself. But now, the day before the party, Jack has told me and Liz that his wife's family are strange, so for the duration of the party, he's going to need us to pretend we're straight, single mums, because Jack is already on thin ice with them for getting 3 women pregnant. We said we'd drop the kids and the cake, but not stick around because Jack's parents hate us both anyway, and we won't hide our relationship. Jack has said we're being unreasonable, he needs us to do this as a favor, and we already agreed to help, so we can't bail on him the day before the party. Are we the idiot? Not the idiot. Except, you agreed to a certain set of conditions, and when information came up that would change the conditions, such as expected behavior, the response was changed appropriately. Man, does he think one yes means permanent consent or something? You did not agree to hiding your attraction at a party. It was never brought up in conversation at that point. The hypocrisy is ripe in this one. He's just mad that he now has to do all the work at his child's party and watching over 3 kids. Honestly, you are still keeping the favor you're dropping the kids dropping the cake off that alone, right there is more than enough, unless he expect you guys to do more than he hasn't told you about just yet. You and Liz don't need to be around them if they can't accept you and Liz. You're not the idiot, Jack is the idiot for making you ladies hide who you are. Not the idiot at all, you've done enough for your ex already, and it's not like you're denying letting the kids go to the party, or giving him the cake. You shouldn't have to hide your relationship. I must say, though the story of you two getting together made me so happy, it sounds like fanfiction come true. It also makes me happy to hear that everyone in the situation including the kids get along quite well generally, because my family is similar, and I don't hear this type of thing often.